So first of all, Tom, thanks for taking time to speak to me.
Pleasure.
What a great event that was, I have to say. How are you feeling after that?
Buzzing. It was just ridiculous. I think we only got the room a couple of weeks ago, and to pull it all together, the playoff trophy, and to have Brian Little here, and the auction raising so much money, it hasn't really sunk in. I'm going to drive home now for a couple of hours and just think about it. But it's just so nice to see people enjoying the podcast. Usually, obviously, it's just behind a screen, and to hear people laugh and interact and stuff like that was just fantastic. So yeah, just a real privilege to do it.
Yeah, and as a group on a whole, did you ever feel that you could come this far and go?
I don't think any of us had an idea of what this was. Obviously, Matt and Dan started the channel before I was involved, and they started with fan cams and doing the videos, and that was a great platform because Villa didn't have anything, and they've inspired so many people to do more, like yourself and the younger YouTube crowd to do more. And then since there, we've added the podcast, which has been fun, I think. And then this was just a pipe dream, really, to look out onto Villa Park and talk with all these Villa fans, bring them together. Beyond our wildest dreams, I think. But now it kind of sets the bar again, and we want to go beyond that, I think.
Yeah, and in terms of the podcast, obviously at times this season, I imagine it would have been hard to do it, or especially the playoff final last year. So for you, what brings you to do the podcast every week? And
I think I'm quite a committed person, which my wife hates. So once I agree to do a season, I want to see it through, whether it's good or bad. I think last season was good most of the season because we were competing for certainly playoffs, and we were winning more than we were losing. Obviously this season started off not so well, but we got to the point where people tune in for the podcast. I don't want to let anybody down, and at the end of the day, me and Dan and me and Chris are very good friends. We get together, we talk about Villa. Sometimes it's not the best game or the best result, but hopefully we can turn a few positives in. When we went to Sheffield United and we lost 4-1, it was a terrible game and awful, but we kind of had a laugh going up and a bit of a laugh going back down. It wasn't so much fun, but you have those moments as friends, essentially. So it's not so much a chore as a privilege to be able to do it and share it with the Villa fans.
Yeah, and has promotion sunk in yet?
Yeah, I think it has. Yeah, I'm ready now. The season, the fixtures and stuff have come out, so that's exciting. We can kind of look at the games that we like to go to and do all that, and starting to sign some players now. So I'm looking forward to pre-season and seeing some of these guys in action. But yeah, the whole playoff day was phenomenal. My best day in football for sure. But yeah, so it's sunk in. I'm ready to go. I'm realistic. I think it's going to be a tough season, but hopefully an enjoyable one.
Yeah, and where do you see these ambitious owners, Dean Smith, taking this Aston Villa side?
It's so hard to say. I would imagine, again, there's a bit of a 5-year plan, not to quote Tony Jaa, but I think they'll want to consolidate this year and then build on that and build on that. I'm hoping that the owners back Smith kind of for the long term, like Dan said tonight. There's a if things aren't going well, there's a pressure to get rid of him, but he's good enough to, even if we go down, he's good enough to get us back up. So I'm hoping that Smith is in for the long haul, and I think in 5 years there's a potential that we could be competing for Europa League. We could be competing, not necessarily for the title. It's got to the point where money is crazy for the title, and I don't know whether we're ever going to be there. But 5 years from now, who knows? We could be 6th, 5th, and challenging it like we were under Martin O'Neill. So it's not beyond my history to remember that, and I don't see why we can't get back there again.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa, indeed.